I know this may seem a bit late. It's been about a decade, but for the past couple of days, I've been thinking about the movie Tropic Thunder. And I know at the time, with the character that Robert Downey played, people were like, well, he's doing blackface. Is it this? Is it that? And I'm going to be honest, I didn't see the movie. Um, I've never been a big celebrity pop culture person. And today, I'm even more detached from all the celebrity, the pop culture. I really don't watch television. I really don't do the movies anymore. I don't do, I don't do social media other than for these type of networking or business purposes. I don't do it for more casual reasons. So I'm really detached to a lot of stuff. But I do like to look into it from time to time because I think it's important. I think it plays into a lot what goes on in this world, on how it influences people, unfortunately, especially young people. And it's a powerful tool, and it can be used towards the positive or the negative. But recently I was like, well, let me go, or recently I was thinking, well, maybe I should watch the movie and see it for myself before I make an ultimate judgment today. And what I've done recently with a lot of movies, especially with YouTube, instead of going to see the movie or doing a red box and taking a full time, even if it doesn't cost a lot of money, or if you go get a little inexpensive matinee, you could look at YouTube clips. And depending on the movie, you may find 10 to 25 clips on one movie. It may not be the whole movie. You may miss some scenes, but you get enough to get the gist of it. Okay, it's almost like kind of having almost like a bootleg on YouTube. So recently I just looked at a number of scenes and just the general presentation that we got. And I have to say, I think that movie, Tropic Thunder, is racist. It's blackface. That's all it is. It's modern day blackface. And it's not about specifically or just solely the fact that he took on a certain image as far as a look, an appearance, a phenotype, the mannerisms, the gestures, the little noises he made, the behaviors. And look, I get it. Within our community, do we embody some of those things, or are there certain men, maybe more than others, who embody those things? Do I have some of those mannerisms? Yeah, but when you do it like that, you're stereotyping almost. It's almost like you're saying, well, they're all like that. Not, well, there may be some cultural differences from these types of people, and there may be some cultural differences from those types of people. And I'm just really surprised that the movie didn't really get a lot of blowback. I was wanting to go, because sometimes some movies I like to go look at the box office numbers to see how profitable some of these movies really are. And that's one thing I forgot to do, so I go check that out. Maybe, just make a little comment below. But I would assume the movie's done pretty well in the theaters. It did. I think that the home sales maybe have been pretty good. And like I said, I don't think there was a lot of blowback. And I was talking to some fellas, some brothers that I knew who saw the movie. Now, maybe these weren't the best brothers, but, I didn't really hear anything from them. Now, I didn't really talk to any older men in my community or older men in my family about it. I don't even know if they saw that movie. I don't know if that was just, their type of thing. A lot of this might be a bit generational, but no blowback. Okay. And another thing, the one brother that they did have, and maybe I'm using that term a little loosely, but the one brother that they did have in the movie, it's like you already had a brother in the movie. Why do you have to go get a guy playing blackface to do that? Because we know that there's, with black exploitation in the entertainment business, whether it's in the past or today, shows like Empire, and I know some of y'all are going to be mad. You may be mad about Tropic Thunder. You may be mad about Empire, but, we know they can go get shows with people who are us, not painted, but legitimately are us at least the look, to play out those stereotypes. And a lot of people just eat that stuff up. But then you go get someone who's not even one of us to do that. But you could cast a brother in the movie for another character. And I saw one of the scenes I saw where, and this was some years ago, so, but it may all tie in. In the one scene, they even ended up questioning the brother's sexuality, accusing him of being a homosexual, accusing him of being a sodomite, you know. And we know that's something that they do, that we have to sexually attack the so-called black man, even if it's to the point where we need to emasculate him or to feminize him, make him effeminate, you know. And I don't know if this was something that was going behind the scenes in Hollywood, but notice who his main attacker or accuser was. It was the guy who was in blackface. You know, so now when you're hearing these things about, well, the Afro community is the most homophobic. Afro men are very homophobic. The Afro man is the white man of the Afro community. You know, maybe that was something that was being presented in that movie. I don't know. I mean, so we know we can't trust media. What if it's the so-called news, fake news, enemy of the people, or the entertainment industry? We know we can't trust them. Can't trust Hollywood, and you can't trust the news. And I think everyone, key players involved with this movie and others like it, need to be called out, need to be questioned. We need to hold them accountable. We can't let this stuff happen. We can't let it stand. You know, and look at it. I mean, Ben Stiller, who starred, produced, wrote, I guess, the movie, the main guy behind the movie, he's of a certain persuasion. He's of a certain ideology or claims a certain community. Okay? And we know that whether it's been in so-called journalism, the news, and entertainment, with these rappers, music, we know that whenever there's something that we're involved, a lot of times they end up having a hand in it, for better or for worse. You know, so now I guess Ben Stiller hasn't done anything in a while. Maybe it's been more behind the scenes, but you know, he needs to be called out and questioned. I think Robert Downey Jr. should be called out and questioned. I mean, I'm sorry, all you Marvel fans, all you MCU fans, you know. And look, I'll admit it. I think it was the same year. I went to go see the Iron Man movie, the first one. That was the only MCU movie that I actually saw in the movie theater. Okay? And I don't want to make this a Marvel thing or a comic book thing or a DC thing, but look, it is what it is. Okay, that's just the only. I checked out some of the material with the other MCU movies. I just wasn't impressed. Wasn't my thing. Wasn't my cup of tea. So I said I'm gonna pass. But I did go see that Iron Man, and I got really excited for that first Iron Man movie. I thought it was pretty good, you know. To this day, 10 years now, I would say it's one of the best movies of all of these, because like I said, I'm not too high on the material. But you got to remember, I mean, this was when Robert Downey was resurrecting his career. He did Gothica, he did Tropic Thunder, and then he got the Iron Man movie. Now, yes, he also did, Sherlock Holmes, but mainly Marvel is the main stuff he's making his money off now. So this movie was an instrumental component for him resurrecting his career. you know. Now, I mean, if you want to, I'm all for people trying to better themselves or improve themselves, but I'm not going to let you do that, you know, and making a mockery of my people and insulting us and throwing us under the bus, particularly the brothers, in the process while doing it. You know, I mean, Jack Black, I mean, obviously he's someone who should be questioned. He was in the King Kong movie with Samuel L., you know, so that's what, 2 strikes right there. Only thing this movie was missing was a Quentin Tarantino. And then it would have been complete. You know? So we need to call these people out. We need to question it. You know, and I'm not the biggest, I believe in the power of economics and the power of the dollar and voting with your dollar. But in general, I'm not a big boycott person. But if it needs be that in the future, when there's questionable things like this that we may see that come across our radios, look, we need to put the word out. It's like, look, this is a no-go. We will not support this movie. I don't want anyone to see this movie. If you know of any local movie theaters that, you know, independently owned local movie theaters that are in your area or in your community, you know, contact that business owner. Hey, I would appreciate it if you not show this movie in your business. You can maybe show some other movies that are okay. We'll support those. We'll see those. We'll support your business. But hey, we got to step back from this. We can't allow this stuff to stand. You know, and particularly in this country and even across the world, no other group of people, for the most part, lets this stuff happen. You know, there's a certain group, one little thing, and all of a sudden, that's anti-Semitic. Okay? Asians don't let this stuff happen. You know, the so-called minority groups, if a so-called minority group or minority person did something that white people felt offended about it, they would complain, they would throw up an uproar, they would talk about, oh, that's reverse racism, or you're racist, or why are you being hateful, or why are you being divisive? They turn around and point the finger at you. A lot of other people wouldn't let this stuff happen. I mean, I believe not too long ago, and this is maybe slightly different, but it deals with entertainment. Katy Perry had done something where she was dressed up in a kimono, and the Japanese community, possibly across the world, Japanese folks got to say, they said, we're not going to let you do that. We're not going to let you appropriate our culture, or we don't think that you were representing traditional attire or traditional clothing that we value as sacred to our culture, that we honor and we respect as our culture. We're not going to allow you to take that, co-opt it, misappropriate it, make a mockery of it, misrepresent it, not do it properly, or not give it the proper respect. Put it out there in mass media where it's going to be broadcasted worldwide, profit from it, benefit from it, and then you're not going to work with us, or you're not going to sit down and break bread with us. You know, you didn't even check with any of us to make sure that you were doing it right, or you understood the meaning, or you understood the heritage, you understood the significance, you had all the facts before you did this. No, the Japanese didn't let that happen. They called her out. They clapped back. And then what was the response? Katy Perry, she apologized. She said that she's not gonna. Sorry, y'all. That's my probably my my financial app. You know, watching the stock markets right now. You gotta forgive me, but the Japanese didn't let that happen. Or the situation recently with, I believe it was Dolce Gabbana, one of these Italian fashion houses. And they made a commercial for the Asian market. And it had an Asian woman trying to eat a pizza, and she was eating with chopsticks. And there was a man doing voiceover, but he wasn't in the frame, in the shot. And he was speaking to the woman through the voiceover, talking about, oh, you can't fit all of that pizza in your little mouth and this and that and the other. And the Chinese, they said, we're offended. We're not going to let this happen. Chinese didn't play that. China, look, that's one thing I respect about the Chinese. The Chinese don't play that. They don't take that stuff from these white folks. They don't take that from these Westerners. They don't take it from the Europeans. They don't take it from America. They're not going to tolerate that stuff. You are not going to disrespect them, especially in their culture. A lot of those, I say Oriental people, like that's offensive, but go look up the history, go look up the etymology of the word. It's not. If you're saying Eastern Asian or Far Eastern Asian, it's the same thing as saying an Oriental Asian, Oriental. But those Oriental cultures, they don't play that stuff. Whether it's Japanese, Chinese, or the Filipinos, they are all about respect. They are all about saving face. They are all about an honor system. They don't play that stuff. You are not going to just go and disrespect them and then want to bring your company, because China's not very open unless there's certain conditions in place to letting foreigners come in their country to do business. They protect their business interests in their country, not like how America and other nations do it, where anybody can just come in and take over your country. And they say, we're not going to let you come over here, set up shop, make these racist commercials, disrespect us, disrespect our women, sexualize our women. The stereotypes. And yeah, in stereotypes, there's some type of truth, but nonetheless, to stereotype our women as your sex toys or your sexual devices and your playthings, we're not going to allow you to do that. And China's talking about, we're considering kicking them out of our country and not letting them do business here. And we will not allow any of these products from that fashion house in our country. They don't play that. And the Italians, that fashion label, they had to issue an apology because China stood their ground. They made their presence felt. They made themselves a force to be reckoned with. And they say, hey, we're not going to let you treat us like this. There's going to be consequences. You're going to have to pay a price. And I respect that about these different cultures. I just wish that we were more like that. We need to get organized like that. That's the whole point. There needs to be an awakening in our people. We need to rise up, the ones who are better suited and better equipped. Each one teach one, each one help one. We need to teach other people who may not get it or understand, especially the younger people who are coming up. We need to teach them how to stand up, put yourself in a position to be a force to be reckoned with, make your presence felt, and demand respect. And if you don't meet me with respect, if you don't respect my worth, if you don't respect my value, if you don't respect my dollar, I'm going to pull out. And I'm not going to participate in your system. And I'm going to only work with my people or only with people who do respect us. And we're going to create something for ourselves, and we're not going to allow other people, outsiders, participate until you have proven yourself with enough merit that you will respect us. Then maybe we'll allow you to come in and work with us or do business or get a little close or whatever. But see, that's our problem. We let them get too close. That's one of the biggest problems with this whole integration thing. I'm not an integrationist, okay? We've gotten too comfortable. We've gotten too complacent. We let these people get too comfortable. They know too much about us. They've been able to see too much. They've been exposed to too much. You got people over here that's not holding the line, not staying on code. You got these incorrigible people out here. I mean, forget about, sellouts or Sambos. You just have people who are just straight up incorrigible, or people who just don't get it, or people who aren't strong enough, they're not tough enough, or people who haven't been taught how to handle themselves when you're dealing with other people. Okay, we can't let them get too close. We can't let them get too comfortable around us where they just feel like they get to say anything and do anything, and then try to claim they don't realize it was a problem or realize it was an issue, that there wasn't going to be a cost, that there wasn't going to be any kind of consequence. I like when they're a little uncomfortable around us. I like when they're unsure. Proceed with caution. Because you're going to respect me. And you're going to respect the people who I work with. And if you're not, then we're going to take our operation and we're going to move it elsewhere. So that's what we need to do as a people. And look, I mean, there's going to be people who are not going to like you. There's going to be people who will not respect you or will just see you a certain way. That's the way it is. That's the way the world is. You can't necessarily control that. But the one thing that we can control and that we have to control the way that we see ourselves. We have to control the way we interact with each other. We have to control how we love each other, how we handle each other, how we treat each other, how we do business with each other. We have to work together. Because if we're divided like this, or if only certain people are doing the right thing, but then a lot of others aren't, they know they can target those incorrigibles and then use them to divide and conquer. Because you'll even hear from our own people, oh man, you need to lighten up, man, you're too serious, or man, you need, And that's one thing I can't stand these days. I can't stand it, don't take everything so seriously. Don't take yourself too seriously. If you don't take yourself seriously, why should you expect other people to do so? I'm not saying you can't take a joke, you can't have a little fun, you can't let your hair down or anything like that. But you have to have some kind of value in the way that you look at yourself. Because if you don't value yourself, if you don't take any pride in yourself, if you don't take yourself seriously, why should you expect for anyone else to? So this is what we have to do, okay? And what this shows is that they don't respect us. They don't take us seriously. They may fear us in a certain way, but they don't really respect us ultimately and take us seriously. So what I'm calling for is that since this is the current state of Afro-America, we need to take our show on the road and we need to place it in a separate venue where we can work on our own operations, we can work on our own craft, we can work on our own community, our own businesses, an educational system, a culture system, a value system, where it's separated from the dominant society. And then, only then, when we've done that with each other amongst ourselves, and we've been able to cultivate something and pool our resources together, then if people on the outside who could potentially be allies, and after they've been thoroughly vetted and tested And once it's been proven that they could be trusted at the minimum to at least be an ally, whether on a temporary basis or permanent basis, or a situational area or something that's maybe broader, then we can maybe start to let some other people work with us and get a little close. You know, I even watched Jamie Foxx, it was about a year ago, on the Joe Rogan show talking about this. Now, I know Jamie Foxx has definitely been with a certain type of women. And look, I'm not trying to, de-police it, as they say. I mean, I feel you could be with whoever you want to be with, but if those relationships make you have to compromise yourself around your own people in your own community, then, and if you say that you're a really person who's down for this community or supports this community, my point is you're going to have to question that relationship and see if it's worth it, or if it's or you having to compromise yourself. Is that more important? Is that relationship more important than the sacrifices you make towards your community for that relationship or for the money? Or is standing by your people and uplifting your people, is that better? Because I'm going to tell you right now, other groups in general don't do that when it comes to us. They don't do that when it comes to other people. They keep within their ranks. They make other people assimilate to them, not assimilate or immerse into others. That's their policy. How come it's not our policy? Especially you being the man. So being with a particular woman like that and not being able to speak on this is racist, this is insensitive, this is prejudice, this is bias, because it may cause issues in that relationship. Well, if the person that you're with, I'm not saying they necessarily have to agree with you on everything, but at least they should understand where you're coming from and understand the history of why you would have these opinions, why you would feel that way. But if you can't even express yourself in that type of a relationship, you need to evaluate, is it worth being with that person? Is it worth being in that type of a relationship? So if we never demand and put ourselves in a situation to be respected, then we shouldn't be surprised when other people don't.